There we go. Okay. Hey guys, it's Ray, and we are finally streaming blacksmithing. So yeah, today was a day. I'll tell you that. Okay. My anvil cam is still not in focus, so I'm going to take a look at that real fast. Okay, it seems like it's in focus now. Cool. So today I have had the pleasure of all kinds of crazy technical troubleshooting. And turns out that the issue I had was like the tiniest little toggle that was buried. And it was just one button press and everything was fixed. So I'm not entirely, I kind of broke a couple other things in the process of finding this little toggle. So we are about an hour late, and so I guess we're gonna try and go an hour later. We'll see how far I can get. So thank you for joining me, even though we're a little bit on the late side. So let's get started. Today we are going to be continuing working on our tongs. The tongs look pretty good. We left them off in a pretty nice area. So today we are going to take this piece of steel right here. This is a piece of 1/4 inch thick square stock, and we're going to turn this guy into a rivet. Then we're going to rivet these two sides of the tongs together, and we are going to kind of shape the head of the tongs. So, I guess the first thing I gotta do is start up the forge. All right, so let's see. But yeah, I've got my sound all taken care of, and all of my other stuff is, working now. And yeah, I figured it out. At least I think I figured it out. It seems like I figured it out. It was rather frustrating, though, overall. Okay. Let's see. We got the forge started. Now, what are we going to put in there? I think what we're going to do first is we're going to start working a little bit on the neck and the jaws of these tongs. And so one of the things that we need to do is kind of bend back the neck so that we can start that rounding on these bolt tongs. And then the other thing that we really need to focus on is putting a right angle groove inside the jaw of these tongs so that I can pick things up with them. So that's what we're going to be doing with these two guys. So I'll put these in the forge so they can get hot. And then once that's done, we will work on making a rivet. All right, so the forge and the ads. Looks like the ads are going to be starting here shortly, so that's all right. Oh, I should have put my apron on before I put my headphones on. The apron won't go over my head with the headphones still on, so that's always pleasant. There we go. So I'm a little on the discombobulated side. Like I said, we're a little bit late, and I was relatively frustrated because of the issues that I was having with the OBS not functioning correctly. So overall, I think we're all right now. So I've got to do a little bit of recording today because we are going to be doing the tail end of our Tong video. And so, yeah. I think I'm all right. Where did I put my... It's right there. I moved my water from where it normally is when I was messing with the computer. Oh, there is a hornet in here. If I leave him alone, he should theoretically leave me alone, so I should be fine. I sprayed in here like a couple days ago, and apparently it was not enough. Okay, so let us see. Got to get that all nice and heated up. And it looks like the ads are coming. I hope so. Yeah, like normally if I don't bother the hornets, they don't really bother me. I'm not allergic to them or anything, so even if I do get stung, it'll hurt a little bit, but overall it won't like harm me. It'll just be a little itchy and, you know, a little bit of pinprick pain for a tiny bit. So yeah, he's gonna hang out on the door over there or over by the window, and I'm gonna hang out here. And I think that's a fair space assessment. Okay, so I think we are going to hit record on the main camera, the wide camera, so I can get some footage of this. All right, we've got it all nice and hit, or the record button hit. I think I kicked my other tripod. Let me make sure that we are still on target for that. Okay, and we'll hit record on that one too. Oh, shoot. I am not on track. You know what I didn't do? I didn't clear my memory cards. Let me do that real fast. And then I will hit record. Because if I don't, then I won't have enough space for this video. Excellent. Okay, hit record on that one. And hit record on this one. There we go. So today I posted the video for our J-hook. I've taken it off the wall over there. We're going to put it up here on our project wall, but I haven't gotten a chance to do it yet. I kind of need to figure out a good place to put some wooden bracing behind this piece of wood, because it's kind of floating on some pieces of wood bracing itself. And I'm afraid that the weight of the hook won't hold it up. So I need to take a look at that, and I will do that this weekend. So we will get both the hook and the paper clip up there, hopefully this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that, and it'll be the start of our project wall. Let's see what else is going on. Like I said, I posted the video for the J-hook. That's up. It's about just under 13 minutes long. I think it's like 12 and some change. And I think it's all right. It's probably one of my better videos. And then I finished editing the leaf video, and I will post that on next Wednesday. So got a couple little tweaks that I got to put on, and that should be up for your viewing pleasure. Let's see. It looks like our metal is about ready. So we're going to pull this out, and I'm going to go over here. So what we're trying to do right now is kind of bend the, hang on, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Let me grab another set of tongs so I can kind of pay attention to what is happening. Okay. All right, so I need to bend this section over here this direction so that it is out of the way and I can start this curved shape. This curved shape right there. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to start on the other side because it's also hot, but I've just let all of the heat out of this one. So let's start this over again. So we are hammering this section of the tong out of the way to kind of start rounding that out. There it goes. I can grab things. I don't really want to bend this too much early on in this process. And the reason I don't want to do that is because when I start riveting this piece in here, I want to make sure that it is all nice and able to be put back in the forge, like so that we can put both sides in and take them out when we do that rivet and that forging. So I think that's well enough, or that's good enough as far as bringing this out of the way. So the next thing that we're going to do with this is we are going to put that V groove into this area right here, which will be the jaws of the tongs. This one will touch the other side, and that's the area that will hold the piece of steel. Now we'll try again with this other side. It's going to be one of those days, man. It's going to be one of those days. I started really oddly and late, and I'm just like kind of a little discombobulated. All right, so that one is relatively out of the way as well. So for this side, we're also going to be putting in that V groove. So we'll heat those back up. All right. And my microphone is wanting to be all muffled and stuff, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Goodness gracious. Fighting with all kinds of stuff today. So there is actually a chance that the VOD will split today. I'm really hoping that it doesn't, but we are under a wind advisory. And usually when we're under a wind advisory, we have a little bit of issues with our internet. It sort of ends up slowing down, and sometimes it like collapses altogether. So if I do go down, I will be back within 5 minutes. And if I am not back by or within 10 minutes, then the internet has come down completely. Hopefully that does not happen. I can see like a break, but I don't see it going completely dark. So hopefully that does not happen. I would be very, very happy if it didn't. Let's see. Overall, we're doing all right. It looks like as far as bandwidth. So, yay. Okay, so normally, or like the first time I made V groove tongs, what I did was I started this V groove on the edge of my anvil. But the edge of the anvil that I used, it was not this anvil. It was my other anvil, which has a much sharper edge. So we're going to take a look at this and see if we can't find a sharp edge. I think this is the sharpest edge that I can find, so we might actually start that V groove on the butt end of this anvil. I think that's probably going to be our best bet. for that. Looks and sounds great. Excellent. I'm glad. Like I said, we could very easily end up with a break in the stream at some point. Hopefully that does not happen, but I would not be surprised. And I thought about posting or like pinning a message at the top of the stream, but I think that I think that I'll leave it and have some wishful thinking, and I won't jinx us by posting a pinned message about it. If it does happen, then I will put the pinned message. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use the butt end of this anvil to create that V groove shape, and I think that it'll be all right overall. I think it seems like it fits this set of tongs, so hopefully it'll fit that set too. So that's going to be our next job. So I think what I'm going to do is make sure that the camera is nice and centered on that butt end. For the moment. So that when I flip it, it'll be all right. And you guys will be able to see it and not have it like hanging off of the edge of the screen. All right. So they should be relatively nice and hot. Lost you a bit. Seems to be back. Okay. Yeah, like I said, my internet's going to be a little bit wobbly today. If it seems to be. So let me do this real fast. And then I am going to pin this message. There we go. Okay. So that should take care of that. Hopefully, I don't actually have too terribly many breaks. Like I said, I will be trying my best to stay live. And if I do go offline, I will be back within 5 minutes unless the internet is down completely. So yeah, hopefully that does not happen. So we're going to try this. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hang this at a 45-degree angle on the butt end of our anvil, and we are going to hammer directly down on that 45 angle. We are creating a line right here. It's kind of a start to our jaws. So that looks like it's a good start. So we'll heat that back up again and continue working. And we'll try the next one. Hanging this on a 45-degree angle, creating a nice line that we can follow. And there is the beginning of that line as well. So we'll heat that back up again. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do is put in that V groove in our tongs so that we can hang on to whatever piece of steel that we're trying to hang on to. And as we continue making that V groove, we will be able to hang on to a piece of square stock, any piece of square stock. We will actually be using a piece of square stock to continue the V groove once we get to a point where we can kind of hang on to it a little bit, if that makes sense. I don't think it did, but I will try to explain that again in a few minutes. Man, I got a hole in my lip today. It's just one of those days. So I thought that I was probably going to end up canceling today's stream because I had some issues with my OBS. But it seemed like I text my partner and he's like, you should just, try and figure it out. And if you do, late is better than never. And I kind of agree with that. Because I mean, I really want to get finished with this project. I didn't really want to lose another day. So I'm a little on the stress side, and hopefully I can get back in the groove of things. And streaming usually helps that, so yeah. I can picture it. Yep. So yeah, overall, I was pretty frustrated. And so I ended up spending about 15 minutes petting my animals and calming down a bit. So yeah, basically what we are going to be doing is we are creating V grooves so that we can hang on to the corners of a piece of square stock. And by starting them with the butt end of the anvil, we can continue once we get just enough to be able to hang on to a piece of steel so it doesn't slip as we continue creating that V groove. And that is our goal. So I think that kind of explains it a little bit better than I previously was able to, hopefully. So yeah, I need to put a V groove in the jaws of my tongs. We will probably actually be using a piece of 1/4-inch stock to continue that V groove. We just really want a right angle. And we want to be able to use it with any size stock. And so the small stock works pretty well. and then we can kind of adjust it a little bit later with a larger piece of stock if we have to. But we won't be finessing it a lot until after we've put the rivet in. Okay, so we've got plenty of heat on that, so we're going to try and continue on that V groove. Let's pick this up a little bit, choke up on our material a little bit. So we've got a decent start going there. You can see that V groove starting. But we have a twist now, so we'll kind of fix that a little bit. But yeah, we've got a nice start there. Pretty happy with that. Same for this guy. So we've got a good V groove in there. So for our next heat, I think I might actually, this section over here is a little bit, it's pretty decent as well. So I think what we're going to do for our next heat is we're going to bring it over to this side of the anvil and hit it from this side to kind of untwist it a little bit. So my exterior door over there is like banging open and shut, and so it's a little bit loud. I don't think you guys can hear it because of the noise cancellation on the microphone, but yeah, it's kind of loud. I can actually hear it through my headphones. But yeah. Starting a little late means a bunch of people are, there aren't very many people watching today, but that's all right. A lot of times I do my stream, I like to do the stream anyway because that way I have the footage and I can put it up on YouTube. And I mean, I still like talking to you guys, even, you know, if there's only a couple of you around. Hey, Mahalo. Welcome in. I'm so glad you've joined us. Yeah, so I was able to actually figure out my issue. It was a tiny little, like, switch that I needed to flip, a single button, and it fixed everything. But I broke a couple other things that I had to fix in the process of finding the little buried, like, button. So it took me a little bit of extra time to figure that out. And yeah, so we're a little bit on the late side today. Hopefully that's not too bad. But even if, you know, even if people have already, you know, have other things that they're up to, you know, that's okay too. Because, you know, we're going to stream anyway. Glad you got it worked out. Yes, I'm glad too. It was very, very frustrating. But overall, it was all right. So I was what it was actually, I was having some issues with the layers of on my OBS, like the screen. So when you use OBS, you have to add sources, right? And I was having issues with the layers, and then I was also having issues with my sound when I turned on the laptop. Um, the sound issue from last Monday was not fixed, so I had to kind of mess around with some stuff, and the layers were all kind of miscombobulated. So I broke a couple things on my way here, but I'm back and I fixed it, and we seem to be doing all right. We are a little bit shaky on the internet, but that is not because of the issues I was having previously. That's because it's really windy and kind of stormy today. A button I won't easily forget again. That is the case. That is definitely the case. So if ever that button like automatically turns itself off again, I will know exactly where it is, and I will know exactly what it causes. So I should be able to fix it the next time. It's like when you buy a car and you start having car problems, right? The things that that go wrong with like one of your cars, if it ever goes wrong again, you kind of have an idea and you can kind of guess what the issue was. And it's kind of like that with OBS for me right now. I've done quite a few creative, or I've found quite a few creative ways of breaking OBS and then refixing it. So we learn as we go. Okay, so I am going to continue on that V groove. I think one or two more heats on each side, and we should be able to start on that rivet. So I'm really excited about putting everything together. Okay. And like I said, we are going to actually start over on this side so that we can kind of untwist. So now we have a pretty decent V groove in there, and I'm pretty happy with that overall. So I think I'm going to start working on the other half, and once that one's done, we'll start working on the rivet. Maybe I might need to do one more heat because it's still a little bit twisted. So we'll do that. Man, my confidence is a little bit shaken today. I'll get it back though. I always do. Okay, so this side now. Yeah. And that's a pretty decent V groove in there. And the twist is mostly gone, so we'll do one more heat with this. And then we should be good to go. Being a streamer is like a dual classing a wizard with whatever else you want to be. I mean, exactly. And it is. It's exactly like being a wizard because all of the technological programming stuff, it's like a foreign language, or like, you kind of have to like learn as you go. And I mean, it's completely different from a lot of other stuff that I'm very familiar with. Even video games, like I'm really good at figuring out systems within video games and stuff, and for whatever reason, you know? OBS doesn't quite seem the same, I guess. I think really part of it is that it's so open source. You can just like add anything you want to it, and so it's very customizable, and as a result, it's kind of clunky maybe. But yeah, I mean, overall, I really like OBS. It's so much better than Streamlabs for what I'm trying to do here. It makes it so much easier to deal with, I guess. So yeah, it is like a sandbox, and I mean, I like that because it is so customizable. So I don't have to like worry about overlays and that sort of thing if I don't want to, but I can add whatever overlay I want. And I can like add whatever else I need within my scene. So if I just suddenly want to put like a picture of something, I can just like quickly add another layer and stick it on top. So it's really, really cool as a program. You can do anything with it, but it's fragile. It is so fragile. And I think it's really funny because there are a whole bunch of other streamers that have just as many problems, if not more problems, with OBS than I do. And I watch other people's streams, and it's really funny watching other people have scuff, because it's like I remember what it feels like and all of the stress. So many people handle it in many different ways, and I respect people, because you know, some people are a lot better at handling it than I am. I like that it's free. I also like that it's free. I also heard that there is a plugin that you can put on in OBS that allows you to like multi-stream on different platforms and stuff. I want to look into that because I think that it would be cool to be able to stream directly to YouTube. Because if I did a YouTube live in the process of doing my Twitch streaming, then I wouldn't have to download my VODs and stick them up on YouTube. They'd already be there. And I think that would be really, really nice. It would save me some time. But yeah, I love OBS. It's a really nice solution, but I feel like there could be a few tweaks to make it a little bit more user-friendly. All right. Yeah, simulcast to YouTube and TikTok is popular now. Yeah, and I would love doing that because then I could reach more viewers. And yeah, it would be fun. I know that I can respond, or like that OBS will organize all of the comments together if I wanted to, but I really wish that we would be able to see everybody's comments like overall. So like YouTube, like aggregate comments on each of the platforms. But I think the only way to do that is to have your comments flow on the actual screen. And I think that would be a little bit distracting. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really looked into it yet. I'm still getting used to Twitch or like how Twitch and YouTube work innately. So I think adding something else soon, but not yet. I need to get more comfy with what I'm doing currently. All right, let's do another one. Did I put? I did. It's over there. All right, cool. So one more heat. We're still trying to make that V groove. We're also trying to untwist. So that's a really nice V groove in there. We'll be able to refine that once we get everything all nice and taken care of and riveted back together. So from here, I'm going to actually quench this guy off, and then we're going to start working on the other side and then the rivet. So I'll leave that in there for just a few, and we'll grab out the other side. And let's keep on working. That's a pretty nice V groove. I'm pretty happy with that. And we'll have plenty of area to finesse once we get those riveted in there. So into the quench bucket for this guy as well. And it helps when I turn on the correct camera. All right, so we are going to take this piece of 1/4 inch square stock and we are going to put it in the forge and start making ourselves a rivet. I like that you can add that groove to the jaws with just the corner of the anvil. I totally overthink it and make some custom hardy tool or something. Yeah, a lot of people actually do, right? But anytime I make a tool, or like I don't have a lot of time out in the shop because I just don't have the stamina to stay out here for, like for long periods of time yet. I'm working on it, but and so I definitely need my Tuesdays and Thursdays to kind of rest still. So I don't get a lot of extra shop time. So some of the tools that it would be really nice to have them before the stream, I tend to forego them a little bit because I just don't have time to make them, I guess. So it would be really, really nice if I had a cutoff tool, like a hardy tool, but I don't have one, so I tend to use the corner of my anvil for that same purpose. Was that lightning? It looked like there was lightning. I was told that, or like, I guess I wasn't told. When I looked at the weather today, I just saw wind. I didn't see any storms, so hopefully it'll be all right. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely better ways of doing certain things, with tools and jigs and things like that. But I have a tendency to be a little bit more makeshift sometimes. Hey, Dragons Here Leather, welcome in. Welcome to the stream. We are a little bit on the late side, but we are still here, and we're working. So right now we are heating up a piece of steel that we are going to use to make a rivet for our tongs. So I'm actually going to change tongs. These are specifically 4/4 inch size steel, and these ones are a little bit more difficult to use. So I'm going to switch tongs, and we'll see what we can do. And I tend to improvise. My cutoff is a splitting wedge. I cut with an angle grinder to fit in the hardy hole. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do things like that. And I mean, if I were, really in June, or, I had a lot of, I have a lot of material like this that I could make a bunch of hardy tools with. And we will on the stream in the future. There's, only so much that I can do at any given time. I need these tongs, and it's kind of like a tools to make tools sort of thing. So this set of tongs should theoretically make some other things a little bit easier to make. So, you make tools to make tools. And yeah. I have this habit of making a new set of tongs or a new jig or a new tool for every project I make. That's usually the first thing that I do. And I was looking at a Alex Steele video the other day, and I was looking through some of the comments, and he was looking at he was making, I guess it was his video from this week. He was making ball Damascus, right? So he made a cylinder, a piece of round Damascus steel, and he made a jig for his power hammer, and it was basically two half-round dies that came together, and then he put the bar in there perpendicular and twisted it, and he was able to make perfect spheres. And one of the comments was that it's funny that 40% of a project is making the tools so you can make the project, and that is 100% like how it goes with blacksmithing a lot of times. Going to make a guillotine or a spring fuller? I could make those. I've never actually made one though. Like, I've seen a lot of videos about the spring fullers and the guillotine tools, but I've never actually made one myself. I mean, we could make one. I feel like a lot of it, though, is more fabrication than blacksmithing. But I kind of also have some, I think that making fabricated blacksmithing tools is a fine use of the channel and the stream. So, So many projects are yak shaving. Yeah. So I do think that we are going to make a few more tools as we, keep going through the stream. Like I said, I want to make that sign for our project wall, and I think that's probably going to be our next project. But the one after that, I actually have planned on building a new coal forge. I think that's going to be the project after our sign. It's going to be much more fabrication heavy and a lot less blacksmithing. But I feel like showing how to make a coal forge, like a simple fabricated coal pan with a clinker breaker and everything, I think that actually will be a very valuable use of our time. So that is something that I want to do, and I will probably, like I said, I will probably do that not this next project, but the project after. That way, it'll be ready for us to use this spring or later on in the spring and summer. That way, we'll be able to do a little bit more forge welding and larger pieces. And I'm really looking forward to being able to forge weld a bit into an axe head. That's my goal, is to do an axe by the end of the summer. I know the school had several shelves of donated specialist tools, but we never got advanced enough to use most of them. Yeah, that's that's always been an issue, I feel like, with a lot of schools. Like when I went to college, we weren't allowed to use the lathe. We had a metal lathe in the fabrication shop, and no one was allowed to use it except for the shop tech. That was because my teacher didn't know how to use it. We also had a power hammer that we were not allowed to use because my teacher didn't know how to use it. And I feel like he was very afraid of all of the tools, and he didn't want us to figure it out. So he just banned the tools for use. So I kind of feel like, now that I am a big girl with my own shop, I'd like to actually be able to learn some of that stuff. So it's in the cards. We'll get there. We have been streaming for over a half an hour. That's kind of crazy. And I just moved the camera. I'm so sorry, guys. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing or to having some more interesting projects with the coal forge. I've got about 200 pounds, 250 pounds of coal that we get to use this before I have to buy more. So we can use that this summer, and we'll see what we can do. But I have to open up the carport, and the coal forge that I have is a little on the small side. It's like a little rivet forge about yay big around. So I want to do something a little bit bigger. That's rough, a teacher unwilling to learn. Yeah, and it was kind of a shame because some of those machines would have really helped some of the students there. They definitely would have helped me, like the power hammer and some of that stuff. It would have been nice to learn how to use. I had to learn on my own later on to use all of my forging equipment. We did have a good teacher who was a professional blacksmith, but we only had smithing 2 to 3 hours every week. Ah, okay. So where did you go to school? There was a school that I know of I wanted to go to the university or Southern University Carbondale. They have a really good blacksmithing program over there, and I really wanted to go there for grad school, but I didn't have a very specialized portfolio, so I did not get in when I applied. And then I got sick, so I was unable to try again the next year. Okay. So right now we are starting a rivet. We're kind of creating a isolation, or we're isolating our material a little bit, kind of creating a little head. On the material. But we're also drawing down that material pretty well. We're using all 4 sides. And we'll go back in the fire. How do you translate? A people school, sort of like a trade school funded by regional government. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, a trade school might be the translation. We have a lot of community colleges around in the United States. Basically, they are like somewhat community funded. But they're also, some of them are also more privatized. A lot of them use government grants to get students in, and you only get like a 2-year degree instead of a 4-year degree. Hey, Swiss Forge, welcome in. I took a house restoration and timber farming class, which included bits of everything needed to build or fix old timber houses. That's interesting. So, I imagine that the blacksmithing sections would have been like hinges and fasteners and things like that. That would be a really interesting class. We don't have anything like that in the United States. Most of our schools, if you wanted to do blacksmithing, it would be more of a fabrication program or like an art program. Yep, awesome. That would be so much fun. I would love to learn and go to a school like that. Maybe one day I will apply again for a master's degree. Okay, I am going to pull these guys out so we can kind of match the size of the rivets to the holes that we've already created. And so yeah, basically that's how they go. They'll go like this, and we will finesse them so that the two jaws will come together. But first we have to rivet them together. I'm thinking about teaching door locks and hinges on Twitch sometime. I would watch that. I would definitely watch that. I'm not amazingly good at doing barrel hinges. Um, that's something that I would love to learn. I have done a few hinges, but most of them were fabricated out of semi-precious metal. I did a barrel hinge in sterling silver one time. So basically, I took a tube and I just cut it and I soldered it to the plates that I needed for the hinge. And then I put a pin through it. So it wasn't like a true forged hinge or anything. It was more like a fabricated piece. So if you do that, I will look out for it. I will definitely look out for that. Good hinges are tricky. They definitely are. Okay, let's continue with this rivet. Nope, I have bent that in a way that I don't want, so we'll have to correct it. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit of extra length in here, and I'm not entirely sure that I like that. We've got a little bit ways to go, so we might end up cutting that end off because it's getting to be a little bit on the long side. I think it'll be all right, though. So we need to continue to thin out this material so that it'll go through this hole. So that we can make that rivet and rivet these two halves together. Whoops, it helps when I press the right button. I mean, that's not different from making a forged hinge, only that instead of using a pre-made tube, you roll it up out of the sheet or flat stock. But yeah, the devil's in the details. Yeah, like I said, it's more like I used a pre-rolled tube. Like when I'm rolling pieces of steel, like when I am actually rolling them, I have a tendency to make, or like they always end up flat on one side. So you can't really like open and close it, turn that into a hit or a proper hinge because it's got that flat spot on it. It's very difficult to get a fully round barrel roll for me, I guess. I need to actually practice this stuff. My dad even picked up an old roof shingle cutter that we used to use, or that we ought to use. Yeah. So are you talking like an old like metal shingle cutter, or are you talking more? Because like I'm pretty sure I don't. Because in the United States, a lot of shingles are made with like tar and like sheets of tar paper. And then they have like I don't know, like a sprinkling of like gravel on top of them. So I'm not sure that I'm familiar with the type of shingles that would use a cutter in that, or a metal cutter. Um, so if you could totally explain that to me, I would be interested. Man, today I feel a little discombobulated, and part of it is that I got really frustrated when I was fixing our stream today. I'd argue bending steel precisely is harder than changing its cross section when it comes to forging, especially with tight bends, and scrolls don't allow you to bend around a horn of sorts. That's modern shingles. They used to be made out of wood. It takes patience, but not impossible. Okay, so wooden shingles, that makes sense. So you could totally use a nipper for that, to cut those at the right size. But yeah, I'm also in agreement with you, Swiss Forge. I do think that scrolls are really difficult. I've been watching a lot of different blacksmith videos on YouTube to kind of compare like what other people are doing and kind of see, what works and what doesn't a little bit. And I keep finding jelly roll Damascus videos, and I can't help myself but watch them because I feel like jelly roll Damascus is like a really hard thing to do, because you basically have to roll your stack of the different steels and make sure that it's clean inside of the roll. And a lot of people, I watch these videos, and a lot of people like lose their rolls. They lose entire layers of the jelly roll because they just can't get their scrolls straight, and it's so difficult. And when you get it down, you've got it down, and I respect that. But I'm kind of bad at it myself. I do. I watch Dirty all the time. Hey, Dirty. Well, then I guess there's nothing to add. Yeah. I try to watch a lot of different people's videos. And I will also, I take advice. I know that I have a lot to learn about blacksmithing, and, I take advice. If you've got something to tell me, if I've got something else I need to learn, come on, I'm all for it. I no shame. All right. Don't we all? Yeah. I've got so much more I'd love to learn. All right, so we're going to keep going on this rivet. We need to bring it down, make it a little bit thinner. All right, if we compare it to our hole, it's still a little bit on the thick side, but I think most of what we need to visit is these corners. I think the corners are catching on the end. So if you round this out, I think it will actually go through. So let's do that for our next heat. Hey Bluesy, welcome in. Thanks for joining. We are a little bit on the late side, so yeah. But I am very glad that you have all joined me today. Because, I mean, I didn't get to start streaming on time, so, I feel like it's been a little bit harder for people to find me. So I'm really glad that you guys have joined today. So it looks like we're about to start an ad. So we are still waiting on our metal to heat anyway, so, I guess that's pretty good timing. So I'm actually pretty happy with this V-groove, although it is a little bit rounder than I would like it to be. But I think that we can definitely correct that by using some cold steel inside here after we've heated up the material. Once we get them riveted together, we should be able to finesse these really nicely, and they should theoretically work a lot better than my other set of universal tongs. So I'm really looking forward to not having to fight my tongs. I just got done with teaching tractor maintenance or mechanics. That is a really interesting, or is that like a class, or is that more of a, is that more informal? I mean, we absolutely do not hang out in the same streams, do we? I love the fact that people hang out in the same streams. It helps build community when there's like, you talk to each other outside of the stream and talking to each other. I really like that because I like the communication. Man, I feel like those ads were really, really quick this time. It looks like they are already done. I don't know. I feel like my sense of timing is a little bit discombobulated today. So, yeah. I'm also watching it get dark outside the windows. So I kind of feel like, it's a little bit weird. I feel like it's a lot later than it is, but I also feel like it's a lot earlier than it is. Because we started streaming an hour later, but it's getting dark. So I don't know. I don't know where I am today. I teach informally. Well, we have a group that come together, but some people are not always able to come. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, that's a really great, community building exercise, getting together with new or young farmers and older farmers, that is a really great thing. Another line of storms on the way. Yeah, I'm not sure if these are, coming in from the west or if they're coming in from, I think there's like a hurricane brewing in the Gulf. So, I mean, there's a couple different areas that have been a little bit stormy recently. And so I feel like we're getting pounded from, the west with a storm and then also in the Gulf. Okay, let us round out this rivet. So we have turned our piece 45 degrees and we are hammering directly on those corners to kind of give ourselves a 8 sides instead of 4. So from the 8 sides, we can kind of round this out by getting rid of all of our facets and our sides. All right, now let's compare this. See if we can't stick that in there. It looks like it's starting to go through, but we've got a little ways to go because it's not going all the way through. So we've got a little bit of a wide area here, so we will continue drawing that down to the point where we can fit both sides through. Really? I get to fight with my forge, apparently. Okay. Yeah, I'm just 75 years young, but I know I won't be around forever, so I try to teach the younger ones how to fix the tractors. Yeah, and I mean, some of the older tractors, it's really hard to find, people who can actually fix them. I know that the newer ones, they have technicians that'll fix them for you, but being able to fix them yourself, it's so much more convenient. It's a lot cheaper to do it yourself, and I mean, it's so worth it. Of course, the first thing I tell my students is get rid of your John Deeres. I'll bet. So I actually grew up in Moline, Illinois. I don't live there anymore, but I grew up there, and that is the international headquarters of John Deere tractors. So I know so many people who have worked at John Deere, and yeah, that I mean, I don't blame you. They are definitely moving towards, you know, very computerized machinery. I heard John Deere made only one sale of bad tractors, the ones with the yellow wheels. I mean, you know, everybody's got their favorites in the vehicle sphere, you know, whether it is, you know, your favorite car manufacturer or your favorite tractor, your favorite motorcycle. So, I mean, a lot of people around here are diehard Deere fans, but there are a bunch of people who are like, I can't stand John Deere. So, you know, my grandfather had a John Deere tractor, and I honestly feel like they used to be a lot better than they are now. All right. I heard that John Deere used software locks that made home repairs a nightmare. I mean, that would not be surprising to me either. They do a lot of proprietary things. Um, there's a lot of the people that I actually know that worked at John Deere are under NDA contracts. So I mean, that really does not surprise me. You do have to get them serviced by a John Deere service technician, kind of like some of the cars in the United States. They're not bad, but as they won't release their software, you need to let a technician come when you change the oil. That costs money. Yeah. All right, I'm going to continue working on this rivet real fast. We're going to work really hard in that middle area because that's where we're a little bit on the thick side. So we don't want to move that material too terribly much, just enough to get it through. So we're working all the sides, trying to get those lumps and bumps out. And now we'll compare, see if we can't get these pieces through. Ooh, that's really nice. We can get that pretty well through. Let's grab the other one, see if we can't line them up properly. All right, so this one needs to go this side. That looks very nice. We might be a little bit on the long side, it looks like. I'm hoping that it's not too terribly long, but I think we've got the rivet at just the right size, so we're probably going to cut this off next. So I'm going to grab the angle grinder, and we will take a look at cutting those off. Start riveting everything together. I think the right to repair movement is trying to stop John Deere and Apple from doing stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of harder to do that here in the United States. We're very pro proprietary rights. But, I mean, it would be really nice to be able to repair your own things. All right, so I need to grab my angle grinder. And change the bit on it. Or I guess the cutter. I lost the little key for my angle grinder, so I always use my multi-tool. It works pretty well. Alrighty. Riveting action in this stream. I'm at the edge of my seat. Yeah. In Europe, where I am, there is a law that tries to force companies to release their software after 2 years. John Deere is the only one that refuses. The obligatory joke. I mean, riveting is totally riveting. I do enjoy cold connections. I oftentimes use cold connections with my semi-precious metals. So like when I'm using silver, I do a lot of fabrication with that, or I used to. I really enjoyed using rivets for that. One of these days. Come on. There we go. Raw. I moved my post vise in a weird place. Like the floor isn't level anywhere, so there's like holes and like dips. And I'm not sure if that's because of like where a vehicle was parked in this garage or what. But a lot of time, or the area that I have this my post vise is kind of wobbly. All right, you know what? I need this guy. Put that there for a second. I do think every Smith on Twitch is expecting that joke to pop up at least once when they rivet things. Exactly, yeah. I do expect the dad jokes. All right, so we're gonna cut this rivet off, probably. Because it's a little on the long side. And I always leave it a little bit hanging on the end. Of course I'm not going to use these tongs. These are the tongs I'm trying to rivet. Where is my brain today? Gee Louise. Okay. So now we have our rivet made, and we're going to put this guy in the forge. And then we're going to set up our anvil so that we can rivet our two pieces together. So we have both sides of our tongs, and this one seems like it's a little front heavy, but that's all right. So we've got both sections of the tongs, and we should be good to go. The key always gets lost. Just use your hand to loosen up the blades. You do not need to tighten the blade the way the screw fits on the axle. Turning the machine on will tighten them. Just snug it up. The post vise, just turn it around the vertical axis. You will find a stable position. Oh, I definitely will. I like it in this orientation because of how the setup for our stream goes. So one of these days I will get a shim and I'll stick it underneath it there, and that'll take out the wobble. But I just need to grab a shim or put a shim under there, I guess. It's like using the light on your phone to look for your phone, right? I am constantly losing my, my keys for changing bits on things. Do I need to check my recordings? I do need to check my recordings. I also need to pay attention because we're starting to get lightning and thunder. Thank you, Ping, for reminding me to check my recordings. I'm doing really badly at that today. I might actually have to use the VOD for my video this time. I hate when I have to do that. That works too. But yes, thank you, Ping, for reminding me to check my recordings. Today, I actually need to record the stuff because I have a few things that I still need for my video. I have most of my keys on a hanger around my neck. That makes sense. I do actually have the key to my oxyacetylene tanks on my key ring. So I have a small my acetylene tank is really small, so it's got these little keys instead of having like a hand turn. And so I keep that on my keychain, but I don't have the rest of my keys. All right, I've got plenty of heat on that rivet. So we're definitely going to see if I bend it or not. So the thing about rivets is that if they are too long, you risk bending the rivet in between the two pieces of steel that you're trying to rivet together. It has a tendency to bend instead of smashing flat. So basically, when you're riveting a piece or two pieces of steel together, you are upsetting the material to kind of secure those two pieces together. And if it's too long, it has a tendency to bow and bend. Whereas sometimes if you cut the rivet too short, there's not enough material to create a meaningful head. And so your two pieces of material will come apart. So you kind of have to judge the perfect length. And I'm really bad at doing that. So let's see here if I can do this rivet in one shot. 2 keys, I mean, that works too. Yeah. All right, so let's see if I can do this in one shot. Probably not. There we go. Stick that there. Nope, I'm not going to be able to do it in one shot because I'm dropping this thing and I'm losing all my heat. Just that. And then that. Yep, we're starting to bend already. So before these get locked in here, we're going to take these apart, I think. Or maybe we're not. My bad. I always do this. There it goes. I can do things. Sometimes. Ugh. Yeah, this bad habit of making my stuff too long and so it bends on me. So we'll try this in a few minutes. It should be fine now. We'll try this again. Once upon a time. Very discombobulated today. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, I know. That is why you need to make your rivets properly. Yeah. I'm really bad at making rivets. I have this habit of making them too long, and so they bend, and that's what started to happen. So hopefully the second shot I'll be able to fix it, and we'll be able to work all right, or like it will work all right. It should be 2/3 of the length. Yeah, I know that in my head, but making it and eyeballing it, I'm really bad at it. I did it properly the last time I did a rivet, but or like I riveted the tongs together when we did the scrolling tongs. I did it perfectly. But this time I just have this sneaking suspicion that I'm gonna have to try it again. So I might have to, drill it out and try it again. I don't know. Fingers crossed that you will let me. Refresh. We back. I think we're back. Yeah, I think we're back. I know that I closed OBS and I reopened it and I hit start streaming. So hopefully we're back. But if this happens again, I will probably end up actually shutting down the stream, and the reason for that is because we're getting a storm right now. So there's lightning and thunder outside, and a lot of times my power will flicker. And if that's the case, then it takes about 10 minutes for my internet to come back up from a full power shutdown. So I will probably end the stream really, really early if that happens again. And I apologize for that. I know it's been one of those like weird days because I was like an hour late and stuff. And I hope that we can stabilize. It seems kind of stable. Hopefully it continues to be stable, but like I said, it might take me, I might have to end the stream. Because it's storming and the internet gets wobbly. Okay, let's try this again. And I mean, I do actually have a swage block. I do. It's sitting over there, but there's a whole bunch of stuff on it. I don't know. Maybe I should just pull it out. Would that be easier, guys? Should I pull out my swage block, clean it off? Do I have the proper size hole for it, though? I think that might work. I'll put these guys under here. I should be fine using this hole right here. I had to do a second refresh. Hello, my name is Annabelle, and I love your work. I'm from Argentina, and I don't understand much English, but I learned by watching. Congratulations. Welcome in. It's all Thor's fault and that Wednesday. Stay home until tomorrow, though. Maybe. Okay, so I brought out the swage block. Maybe that'll help. Hopefully it'll be all right. Maybe if I tilt upwards. Ah, too much. Too much. This is going to be awful to edit later. Are you going to do the thing? Maybe. Maybe, maybe not. I'll do my best. Okay. Let's try this again. Oh, are we still having problems? Yeah, I'm getting way drop frames. All right. So I'm getting a lot of lag, and I don't think it's gonna get any better. So thank you so much for your follow, El Taller. But I think that, yeah, it's broken up, but we're still live. I just got the oh my god screen. Um, yeah, I'm getting a lot of drop frames, and a lot of lag. Okay, it seems like we've stabilized on the frame drops. So hopefully I'm a little afraid to do the rivet because I don't want to like crash in the middle of doing the rivet. I should be all right though. No, we're dropping again. It's up and down and up and down. And there's some birds somewhere, I think. Okay. I got an ad starting soon. If we are stable by the time the ad is ended, I will do the rivet. And if not, we'll try it again on Friday. But I want to make sure that you guys get to see the rivet. Yeah, I want to make sure that everybody gets to see the rivet. So, like I said, if it doesn't stabilize by the end of the ads, I think that I am going to probably end the stream a little bit or like early, so that I can make sure that everybody gets to see the rivet. But it looks like we're really unstable. I hate this. I really, really want to, continue with, with the stream. It makes me really sad when I have to end early. So, what is that? Is there, I think it's just rain. There's some raindrops coming through the chimney, I think. I think that's what that sound is. It breaks. My stream is broken.